Just a few years ago, Jacob deGrom was untouchable. Over a 4-year span, he was one of the most dominant pitchers that modern baseball has ever seen. That is where the wheels fall off though. From 2020 to 2024, deGrom pitched only 265 innings, barely more than one season in his prime. Multiple injuries plagued deGrom and derailed the career of one of the most talented pitchers to ever play the game. He seemed destined for the what could have been category of pitchers. Yet, here we are in 2025 and somehow, at age 37, deGrom is back. He's not just healthy, he's dominating again. How did he get back to this point? Well, it certainly didn't happen by accident. A closer look at his mechanics may hold the key to understanding one of the biggest comebacks in recent baseball history. Not only that, however, it may hold the key to the biggest change to the future of modern pitching as we know it. Before we get into it, most of you watching this aren't subscribed, so if you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate it. It's the best way to support the channel. Before we talk about the comeback, we first must appreciate where it all started. It would be hard to argue from the years 2018 to 2021 that there was any other pitcher better than Jacob deGrom in the league. Take a look at this graph that relates strikeout rate to walk rate in the years 2018 to 2021 for starting pitchers with at least 400 innings pitched in that span. Obviously, where you want to be on this graph is in the bottom right corner, meaning a high strikeout rate and a low walk rate. deGrom finds himself in the middle of the group over there, surrounded by Max Scherzer, Gerrit Cole, and Justin Verlander. The difference that separates deGrom from these three is the fact that he didn't give up home runs at the rate that these pitchers did. Not only was he better than those three, he was better than everyone, giving up only .65 home runs per 9 innings, the best out of this sample. This rare combination of stuff, command, and home run prevention, unsurprisingly, allowed deGrom to lead all starters in FIP during this window. And it wasn't really close either. Max Scherzer and Gerrit Cole were the only other two pitchers to get to the sub-3 mark, while deGrom was nearly below 2. Speaking of below 2, he was the only starter in the league to have an ERA below 2 during this span. Once again, not close. deGrom won the Cy Young in both 2018 and 2019, nearly unanimous both times. One voter gave Max Scherzer a first-place vote in 2018, and one voter criminally gave Hyunjin Ryu a first-place vote in 2019. No offense to Ryu, but both of these really should have just been unanimous. The small sample of 2020 allowed Trevor Bauer to edge out deGrom in the race. deGrom's 2021 season, though, was his most dominant on a per-inning basis, posting a minuscule 1.08 ERA and a 1.24 FIP, striking out 146 batters and walking just 11 in 92 innings pitched. Only 92 innings because of a forearm injury he suffered in July of that year. He was on pace for a 10-WAR season. Statistically, deGrom was the best pitcher in the league during his prime, and it would be hard to argue anyone else. deGrom, Cole, Scherzer, and Verlander all began to lose this dominance as they aged, unsurprisingly. Injuries often were the main cause, and deGrom was no exception to that. Let's dive into the injury history of deGrom since 2021. June 2021, 2 minor arm injuries caused him to exit back-to-back starts, but he's cleared to play afterward. July 2021, forearm tightness ends his historically dominant season. Spring training 2022, stress reaction in his shoulder that causes him to miss the first 4 months of the season. April 2023, elbow inflammation. June 2023, Tommy John surgery, which was his second Tommy John of his career. Since returning from that surgery in 2024, deGrom has remained healthy, but at what cost? Well, it seems like not much. deGrom has been preventing runs just fine so far this year, but he is a lot different. Let's get into the numbers. The first thing you may notice about 2025 deGrom is that his fastball velocity is not what it once was. His average fastball velocity in 2021 was 99.1 miles per hour. In 2025, though, it's down 2 miles an hour to 97.3. Obviously, still pretty fast, but not the prime dominant deGrom of the past. Because of this, deGrom now doesn't have the same swing and miss stuff that he once had. So far in 2025, he's posted a near career-low strikeout rate of 25.1%, which is the lowest we've seen from him since his 2016 season. His stuff plus, a number that tells us how nasty his pitches are based on things like velocity and movement, is the lowest of his career by far, but still above average. This loss of swing and miss stuff seemingly hasn't affected deGrom as much as one would expect though. So far in 2025, he has an ERA of 2.42, a FIP of 3.67, an xFIP of 3.35, and a SIERA of 3.35. These numbers aren't too far off from his 2018 and 2019 seasons during his prime. This is ultimately because he's commanding his pitches better than he ever has. Command doesn't just mean limiting walks, though he has done a good job at that so far this year with a walk rate of 5.4%, which is 18th in the league. Command is putting your pitches in the right spots in the right situations. A 2-0 count is far different than an 0-2 count. The most valuable locations of a pitch differ vastly in these scenarios. In the 2-0 count, you don't want to throw a ball outside the zone to push the count even further in the batter's favor at 3-0, but you also don't just want to lay a fastball middle, as that might be even worse. In an 0-2 count, the edge of the strike zone or just off the edge is going to see the most valuable results. A breaking ball from a right-handed pitcher is most valuable in this zone, inducing a chase, where if the batter swings at it, it's probably a strikeout, and if they watch it for a ball, it's not that big of a deal as the count is still in the pitcher's favor at 1-2. In an 0-2 count, you don't want the same locations with the breaking ball as you do in a 2-0 count. Most fastballs are best located on the edge of the zone and usually up and out of the zone with 2 strikes. This can all be measured by a stat called Location Plus, basically saying which pitchers are hitting the most valuable locations consistently based on the pitch type and count. deGrom leads all qualified starters in Location Plus so far in 2025. As you can see, there are some other more command-based pitchers near the top like Chris Paddock, Nick Pivetta, Kyle Hendricks, and Jamison Tyone. A lot of those pitchers have below average stuff, which is often true for high command pitchers. deGrom, though, still has very good swing and miss stuff, even if it's lower than in his prime. Just take a look at these sliders deGrom is throwing this year. Notice that all of these are when he's ahead in the count. When a pitcher is ahead in the count, the most valuable locations for the slider are going to be on the edge of the zone or a little out of it, inducing a chase. deGrom has been able to locate these pitches with extreme consistency in 2025. Now, here are some sliders that deGrom has thrown when he's behind in the count. These situations obviously call for a strike to be thrown to put yourself back into the count. deGrom has also excelled at locating these pitches. Look at these 2 heat maps of deGrom's slider location when he's ahead in the count versus when he's behind in the count. You can see he can basically put the slider exactly where he wants it this year. Unsurprisingly, his slider ranks second among starter sliders in Location Plus behind only Jake Irvin's. Prime deGrom was great thanks to his rare combination of elite swing and miss stuff and good command, but now he's using elite command and good swing and miss stuff. A less flashy way to prevent runs as a pitcher, but it seems to be doing just fine. Not only is it giving him good performance on the field, it's also going to keep his arm much healthier, as lower velocity puts less strain on the arm. This change, though, is not the only one that deGrom has made this year, as his mechanics are also significantly different. This change might be an even bigger one, and one that could literally change modern pitching as we know it. Lower arm angles are a hot topic so far in the 2025 season. There are several big-name pitchers with significantly lower arm angles than they had in 2024, one of those names being Jacob deGrom. There are 2 big theories behind this movement, one being better performance, and the other one, probably the bigger one, being long-term arm health. deGrom's average arm angle in 2023 before his arm injury was on average 37 degrees. This year so far, it's dropped down to just 30 degrees. Now, this isn't just as simple as he's dropping his arm as he releases the pitch. Arm angle is kind of the result of a bunch of different, more subtle biomechanical measures. The main difference with deGrom pitching this year is his trunk tilt, basically how upright his torso is on release. Here's deGrom in 2025, and let's overlay that with his release before his injury in 2023. As you can see, his arm angle is significantly lower this year compared to his past. But it's not just lower to be lower, he's standing far more upright than he was before. Having less trunk tilt allows his arm angle to be shallower. But why do this? Well, lower arm angles are in style right now, mainly due to the movement profile that they unlock. Lower arm slots are very friendly with horizontal movement, which helps a pitcher miss barrels and induce weak contact. deGrom has seen about a half-inch more arm side horizontal break on his four-seam fastball this year compared to 2023. His slider has also seen a similar increase and is now actually one of the best sliders in the league in terms of horizontal movement amongst ones with similar velocity and release point. With deGrom's velocity decreasing, increasing movement is the best way to keep his stuff near the top of the league, and so far, it's worked like a charm. That is not the end of these new mechanics though. deGrom has always been able to repeat his delivery with ease, but now it might be better than ever before. Just look at this video via Pitching Ninja of 5 overlaid pitches from deGrom. He's so pinpoint with his mechanics, it's almost robotic. This repeatable athletic delivery is what gives deGrom his elite command. Consistent delivery means consistent pitch location. The other, probably bigger branch of the lower arm angle trend is the possible decrease of arm injury. deGrom said himself that, "When my arm angle climbs, I noticed I got a little bit more sore, so I was just trying to do what's best for health. And now I feel like with the slot that I'm at right now, I've been able to recover really well in between. So it kind of naturally happened, and a little bit on my own. It's a little bit of both." This anecdotal evidence is backed up by real-deal studies done on college pitchers. A study done in 2014 saw that arm slot angle had a significant negative correlation with elbow torque, significant positive correlation with elbow torque efficiency and shoulder torque efficiency, with an increase in elbow torque of approximately 4.23 newtons for every 10 degrees increase in arm slot angles. This study measured arm slot angles opposite how I've been talking about it. Higher angles means lower arm slot. They found that the group that had less trunk tilt, aka the low arm slot group, had significantly less elbow torque, greater elbow torque efficiency, and greater shoulder torque efficiency compared to the middle arm slot group. Basically saying that lower arm angles are associated with less torque on the elbow. Less torque on the elbow means less injury. And you might be saying, well, lower arm angles probably just means that pitchers are throwing slower, and therefore that's the reason why there's lower stress on the elbow. But this study takes that into account, assuring that all three groups looked at had no significant difference in velocity, as seen in this table. The p-value of 0.668 shows that the groups are not significantly different. This gives a ton of evidence backing up what deGrom was feeling. Very soon, this could be seen around the league as the first real pushback against the arm injury epidemic we're seeing in modern baseball. And for a pitcher like deGrom, who when healthy is one of the best pitchers in the game, it's important to these teams for these players to stay healthy. So what does this all mean for Jacob deGrom's future? The short answer, this reinvention could be the key to a Hall of Fame push. Compared to pitchers like Verlander, Scherzer, and Kershaw, deGrom's not up there on the level where he's a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame. The WAR discrepancy is obvious, and that mainly comes down to deGrom's late start early in his career and injuries derailing his prime. Obviously, now things look a lot better than they did a few months ago. deGrom's 2025 is going much better than these three pitchers, albeit deGrom is slightly younger than Kershaw and much younger than Scherzer and Verlander. If he can keep up this level of production for just a couple more seasons, he may see that WAR go up into the 50s or maybe even into the 60s, depending on how long he can sustain this. His peak is already stronger than many Hall of Famers, he just needs to add on that longevity that was robbed from him. Now in 2025, he's re-emerged with a new blueprint. Lower velocity, higher command, and more efficient mechanics built to preserve his health. He's not racking up strikeouts at his old clip, but he's keeping runs off the board with the same efficiency, just with a different toolset. The early results suggest this isn't a fluke and this is sustainable. deGrom's resurgence at age 37 could be the defining chapter that elevates his legacy from what could have been to what actually happened. And this could be one of the biggest discoveries in terms of pitchers' arm health that the league has ever seen. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think. I will see you next time. Goodbye.